given the updated news on George Michael. It's been a crazy 2016, you guys. And one thing is clear, there's something very strange going on in this reality. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let some of you gather in, and we're going to talk a little bit about 2016, the year in review. Now, many of you, just got to enjoy some time with your family. That's good. That's awesome. That's what it's all about. It's about spending time with loved ones. But when we begin to contemplate some of what happened in 2016 regarding all of these celebrities that grew up. Many of them were from like my generation. These are people that when I was younger, I was a fan of these people. Mike, um, you know, all these guys. Prince, George Michael. I mean, this was like the golden years of music. This is when music was music, right? And these people were very much a part of our lives in the 40 something generation, right? So I feel like we need to talk about this a little bit, and you guys probably need a break from all the food and gifts and all that. So I'm glad that those of you that are here with me today. Now, I uploaded this video, which was a re-upload, and I've got it muted because when I uploaded it again, it actually got a copyright notification. So I'm not going to play the sound, but many of you have probably already looked at this video, and already it's come under attack because the powers that be do not want you guys to understand that this channel is basically echoes of the Matrix, basically echoing and foreshadowing things before they happen. Now, I'm not taking credit for this. It is not me who's doing this. It's the Holy Spirit trying to call everyone out of the beast. Now, in this very specific video from February, it was actually released on February 10th, 2016. But here it was referencing February 8th. We were playing the song Monkey on Your Back. And we were showing how George Michael linked into the death of Michael Jackson. Why? Because George Michael was born on the day that Michael Jackson died. And it's not an accident. They both have the name Michael. George Michael, Michael Jackson. Okay. Now, it's not just that ties this into the amazing synchronicity. We also tied in 9/11. And for those of you that come onto this channel, you understand that 9/11 is Jesus' real birthday. I'll say that again. 9/11 is Jesus' real birthday. So it's no accident that George Michael died on Jesus' false birthday. This is very important stuff. And if people begin to understand this, that channels just don't do random videos on George Michael, okay? Along with all of the other 69 synchronicities from this year that we called out, and all the people that died after we called out the year of 69, David Bowie, Alan Rickman, I believe Alan Thicke was 69 as well. I could be mistaken. Patty Duke, 69. The list goes on and on and on. Huge stars in their day, died at 69. So this is no different. Another foreshadowing. Okay, guys, that's what this is all about. Now, it's going to be attacked because nobody wants, it's like child abuse. It's like sex abuse. Nobody really wants to address some of these things. They don't want to address these realities. They're too odd. They're too scary for some people to stare in the face when they see the phenomenon happening. They just can't bring themselves to terms with it. Now, the way I linked George Michael into this in February this year was because of the Super Bowl. There was a puppy monkey baby Mountain Dew commercial. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that was all about Michael Jackson and his puppy monkey baby, right? Named Bubbles. And of course, Mountain Dew is this bubbly soda. So I linked that in. And then I realized when digging deeper into George Michael, as you can see here in the video, this again was released in February of this year, long before George Michael died, but we were talking about him already. Um, this this song, Monkey, from the album Faith, released at the halfway point to 9/11. So I called that out. I called out the fact that it was 4 minutes and 47 seconds long. Building 7 opened in the same year that this recorded, and it was 47 stories tall. So we're linking this in. Now, at that time, did I know that George Michael was going to die? No, I'll be honest with you. But I listened to the Holy Spirit and I put down work according to the Holy Spirit. So the synchronicities happen to come about. They just come about. This is why I don't take credit for it, because I'm following instructions from the Most High. And he knows when George Michael was going to die. He knows when people are born, which is why George Michael was born the same day that Michael Jackson would die. Those are not accidents. It's not an accident that I called this out when it happened. Few people walk in the Spirit because they're afraid. They're either afraid, or they don't have time, or they haven't picked up their cross, and they're not completely following the Lord, listening to every one of his instructions. And I fail even at it much of the time, but I've dedicated my life to following what he tells me to do. The reason why all this happened is because it's supposed to be some kind of testament. It's supposed to glorify God. It's supposed to let him know that his work is on this channel. The things that he wants you to know are here, because he knows the beginning from the end. So one Michael was born, another one dead, same day. But this goes on. There's more synchronicities. This whole video is about George Michael and Michael Jackson, because the two are very closely linked. I believe that George Michael made the song Monkey pretty much like to make fun of Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson was carrying around this monkey in the very year that George Michael released this song. Michael's monkey on his back. Bubbles was initially kept at the Jackson family's home in Encino, Los Angeles, but was moved to Neverland Ranch in 1988. Remember, the song Monkey came out from George Michael in 87. So during those years, Michael Jackson was carrying around his monkey very, very, just out in public. He was out there. So the reason why I was talking about the Super Bowl is because it was Super Bowl 50 last year. We're going to be at Super Bowl 51 this year in a few months. And Michael Jackson died at 50, 88 days after the 88th day of the year. Now, it's interesting because when you add 88 days to Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, I believe, you get 322. In fact, I'm just going to show you. You guys can see this for yourself. And that's not an accident either. 322, March 22nd. And that's Skull and Bones, of course, which is another reason why you know that this is like the false Christmas, right? Like 12/25, 2016, we're going to add 88 days. Either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. It's Christmas Eve. You take Christmas Eve, you add 88 days, you get 322. And there's your Skull and Bones, right? 322 of the following year. So there's something very strange about this date that we call Christmas that a lot of people just celebrate. It is not the real birthday of Jesus Christ. So was this some kind of ritual sacrifice? I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just specifically speaking to you guys on the esoteric level, okay? The spiritual level of how all this manifests out. God knows the moment that you're born and the moment you're going to die. He knows that. Those are two very important dates throughout a person's life. And it's interesting because there was a Bubbles connection to the Super Bowl. I guess an elephant predicted that the Broncos would win. the Super Bowl, and the elephant's name was Bubbles. There was some Zika linked into this. I had some Zika scares this year in review, and this date came up in an X Files episode. They had the X Files reboot, and this was a poster in one of the opening episodes of the X Files. I took the word Zika. We take the I and the K in the middle. Those alphanumerically are 9 and 11, A to Z, 9 and 11. And of course, that's the real birthday of Christ. False birthday being December 25th, Sol Invictus, Apollyon. This was another Super Bowl commercial. They showed this monkey. I believe it was the year of the monkey. This year was the year of the monkey. Here's the puppy monkey baby. Mountain Dew commercial. And of course, they were talking about Michael Jackson's puppy monkey baby. So now that I've showed you this, now you're probably wondering, gosh, Casey, why does this video have 17 thumbs down? It's because it's under attack. And anytime these kinds of videos start to go mainstream, because it's on the cusp of the death of George Michael, they want to make sure that they discredit it right away as whatever they want to call it, fake news. I don't know. Pop back here in the chat. See how you guys are doing. Now, there's a lot of weird stuff going on with regards to some of these celebrity deaths too, because as I told you guys earlier, we also took a look at Prince. Prince died this year on April 21st. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you some very bizarre stuff for some of you that are new to this channel. April 21st just so happened to be the Queen of England's birthday. Okay. And follow me on this. The 111th day of the year. This happens to be the mirror reflective date of 9/11. Why? Because 9/11 has 111 days remaining in the year. Remember, and all we do is take these two dates. We just reverse them. That's all we do. Number of days left in the year. Reverse the dates. We get the reflective mirror date, which of course 9/11. 9/11 is April 21st reflective date. So we had this weird synchronicity. And then when you tie in the fact that George Michael was British, I mean, this is just bizarre. Okay. So we had Prince dying on the Queen of England's birthday, who's British, obviously. That reflective date is 9/11, Christ's real birthday. Then we have George Michael dying on Christmas, the fake birthday, and he's British. See how everything just comes like full circle. Now, apparently, George Michael did a boatload of songs about Christmas. He had Do They Know It's Christmas? He had UK Christmas #1. He had Last Christmas. And this was his last Christmas. This is it here. I got this pulled up in Wikipedia. For those of you that are thinking this is still a hoax, Wikipedia has already updated his Wikipedia page to have him dying, and they typically won't do that until it's confirmed. Now, of course, he could have faked his death. I mean, that's possible, of course. That's always possible, and I wouldn't count that out. I would say that happens probably much of the time, but we got to stick to what we know, and that's these esoteric synchronicities versus speaking things that we don't really have any idea of, because this man very well could be dead. So here it is, born in England, British, died at 53, born in 1963. A lot of songs about Christmas, one of them being Last Christmas. And I like to take a look at the lyrics of this song because this is probably pretty nuts. This was in 1984. So it was what, 32 years ago? Let me pop in the chat, see how you guys are doing. Let's close this first. See Dagger Spells in the house. David Dixon. Michael Obama. Yeah, probably stage death. Possible Green Man. Much love to you guys. Sherry Bishop, John Smith, Joanne, David, Toblerone. Yeah, I mean, that was some good music that they put out. There's Gary, Nash, T. Kerr. And so that's where we're at with that. I'd like to see what the lyrics are for this Last Christmas because I'm wondering if there are any clues in here. Okay, here it is. Let's take a look at this. There's George Michael. This is the Wham crew. Is this Wham? Yeah, English pop duo Wham in '84. This is right around the time they were starting to get popular. And then he went solo. Remember, for those of you in your late 30s and 40s, you'll remember all this. At least on December 3rd, 1984. Apparently, the song did pretty well. Let's look up the lyrics to Last Christmas. See if there's anything weird going on. By Wham. Take a look here. Oh, let's put lyrics in here. So when you guys are all done, go ahead and go back to that video that I just uploaded and thumbs that up. We got to fight the trolls so the word gets out, right? Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away. This year, to save me from tears, I'll give it to someone special. Once bitten, twice shy. I keep my distance, but you still catch my eye. Tell me, baby, do you recognize me? Well, it's been a year. It doesn't surprise me. I wrapped it up and sent it with a note saying, I love you. I'm in it. Now I know what a fool I've been. But if you kissed me now, I know you'd fool me again. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The very next day, okay, so there's just more of the chorus. Let's go in here. See if there's anything else. Now, why does this happen? Well, as I told you guys earlier in the show, God knows the beginning from the end. And he also wants us to know that he's in complete control. Even though sometimes we deny him. We don't want to submit to God. I'm not saying that this is what this guy did. I don't know his personal walk, his personal journey. Well, I'm just telling you, when people are popular like this, your birth and your death becomes a testimony. It says something. Everything is to the glory of God. So I believe that that's maybe what this was about. You know, him dying on the false, the false Christ birthday. Crowded room, friends with tired eyes, hiding from you and your soul of ice. My God, I thought you were someone to rely on. Me? I guess I was a shoulder to cry on. Face on a lover with a fire in his heart. A man undercover, but you tore me apart. Now I've found real love. You'll never fool me again. A face on a lover with a fire in his heart. So, I don't really see anything outright with these lyrics. They're jumping out at me right off the top of my head. But there you go. Let's look in the chat, see what's up with you guys. Tarot the Fool, says Miss Man. He's not dead. He's a death faker, says Carolyn. That's possible. Fool me once. Yeah, for those of you that have been on this channel, you will remember the April Fool's videos that I did, saying that basically the April Fool's was the third day that Christ was resurrected on after March 29th, and which is the day that I believe that he was crucified, the 80th day of the year. And I believe what happened, because there was this ceremony, this ancient ceremony called the washing of the lions, and it took place on April 1st. These are the roots of the holiday April Fool's Day, okay? I believe that basically they were making fun of and mocking Christ. Christ was the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And so during the ceremony, they would wash these lions, basically baptizing these lions, okay, making fun of Christ and making fun of his resurrection. Then they would scourge the lion, they would beat it and kill it. And I believe this all went back to ancient, I think it was just actually in England. Let me look this up real quick. I'm kind of going off of memory. Let's take a look here. What kind of Google search is this? How weird. I should probably decode that. Well, look at this. It's kind of like stairs going up and then down right here. Okay. Scourging lion. Watching. Define this. So, all right, here we go. Scourging, here we go. The washing of the lions. 1698, April Fools. Here's Hoaxopedia. They call it a hoax. So this started in London. So here we are back in the UK again. Unbelievable. Full circle. During the 18th and 19th centuries, a popular prank in London involved inviting unsuspecting victims to come view the annual ceremony of washing the lions at the Tower of London. Okay. April Fools, right? This is the lyrics to the George Michael song. Last early versions of the prank promised the curious that the lions were going to be washed in the moat. Later versions told the global to seek the entrance to the Tower of the White Gate, there being no such gate. So they were basically told people they were going to be washing lions in the moat and then show up to the White Gate, but it was all a joke. April Fools, right? Whatever the details were, the hopeful sightseers would make the journey to the tower in vain because there was no annual lion washing ceremony. This prank is best known as an April Fool's Day joke. In fact, a report of it being perpetrated in 1698 is the earliest recorded example of an April Fool's Day prank. The April 2nd edition of Doc's newsletter reported that yesterday, being the 1st of April, several persons were sent to the tower ditch to see the lion washed. Okay. So, what was this washing the lions all about? I believe they were mocking Christ, basically. Here's one of the announcements. And I remember reading somewhere when I decoded this as well that they basically scourged or whipped or did something like that. Animals at the Tower of London. Anyway, there's a lot of bizarre stuff going on with this Tower of London and April Fools. So I wanted to maybe tie that in. Back in the chat. See what you guys are up to. You died in Oxfordshire. Ox. Oh man, we just were talking about the OX yesterday, weren't we? Thanks, Sabine. Unbelievable. Means House of the Ford. This is at the east of Jordan where Jesus was baptized. The lion was washed. Elijah was taken up. Joshua crossed over. Exactly. Wow. Unbelievable. And, you know, there was, what was it, 153 was a number in the Bible. He died at 53 years old. See if we can find where we found this scourging, washing the lions. Let's see here. 153 in the Bible. He died at 53. And it was 153 fish that were caught in the Bible. 7 disciples. Not sure how that might tie in, but just wanted to pull that up just in case there was anything. Now, a lot of people believe this number has significance. Let's take a look at the number 153. I think we did a video on this. I can't remember exactly what we said about the number 153. Several interesting mathematical properties. 153 is the sum of the first 17 integers. Oh, that's pretty neat. So the first 17 integers add up to 153. 153 is the sum of the first 17 integers and is also the sum of the first 5 positive factorials. So 17 is the 7th prime number as well. That number is huge. Archimedes, in his measurement of a circle, referred to this ratio as constituting the measuring of the fish. Okay, so how did Jesus know that? Because Jesus was the Son of God, right? He was a mathematician, a physician, he was everything. So that's pretty interesting. All right. Pizza K made it hard to have a cheerful Christmas. Yeah, all I could do is think about those kids, I mean, it's just unbelievable. What saddens me is that I was looking at some petitions at the White House website. And I understand, you guys. I understand that, look, nothing's going to happen, okay? Or very little is going to happen. I think our best shot that we had at this before the fake shooter was to protest in front of Comet Ping Pong. And I heard a couple other channels talking about it who lived in the area. I think Press Reset Earth. And I gave my support to that. I said, look, that's a great idea. I was helping give ideas about what kind of signs they should use. That would be a slam dunk, national attention on the evidence that we had, because none of the mainstream outlets covered any of the evidence, right? They just didn't cover it. They just said it was fake news. They didn't cover any of the evidence. So if you're out there in front of Comet Ping Pong with 200 truthers and you got Best of Pizza signs with the logo that was changed, and then you got 7 people live streaming, you got yourself a national news story. You got some truth. But they put the shutdown on that, didn't they? How did they do it? They sent in a fake shooter. Now everyone's scared to death to go and try to protest because DC police might come out and accuse us of being a shooter, and like you could actually get shot. They could say they're in danger. They could be provocative. I mean, anything could happen now if you were to try to go out there and protest in front of Best of Pizza on Comet Ping Pong, right? But before all that happened, we were well within our rights, and we could have done a very effective job by showing up, 200 of us with signs showing little boy lover, the triangle and all that. And something that, something they would have had to at least address the signs we were holding, because the whole world's going to see the signs, right? You guys, this is the kind of organization that we need, closest people that I see to doing this is my friends at Underground World News. These guys try to get on location. They can't always get there, but I'm sure if, those guys were in the DC area, they could have organized a protest. They could have said, hey, calling all truthers. I mean, I have at least 25 of you that come to my channel that are from DC that would have showed up just to walk and just for a few hours and have it filmed and live streamed to the world. And, if we could all get together, all of Dabu's DC people, put the word out, we could have made that happen. That's what we need, you guys. That's how we're going to make a difference. 10 of us live streaming, crowd of 200 to 500 people. We can do it. And it does sadden me that some kids are not going to make it home for Christmas. We already know the statistics. We know that in Virginia, they outperform missing children 500% compared to the national average, right next door to Washington, D.C. Most children in the nation go missing. Some of those children are locked in a dungeon somewhere while we eat our food in open presents, right? And I did everything that I could. I stayed on this. I tried. it's hard to go up against the mainstream media. It's hard to go up against your own truth or friends that are saying this is a psyop who aren't covering it. There's only one of us, and I feel like we did the best we could. Now, where are we at with that? I mean, it's pretty much over. So I don't know. So what else we got going on here? Look in the chat. Yeah, there are many cameras of activity right now, but I'm playing with the children. Well, not at this second. Oh, identify this. Hello, Enter. I love you. Love you too. Sit blocks. You want to know about 9/11? Read Dr. Judy Wood's book. Where did the towers go? Yes, I saw that. Really, that was a good documentary. Black Child. Just reading in the chat here, you guys. I left you info in your chat on your site. Thanks, Tinfoil Productions. Appreciate it. Yeah, I saw that. You had quite a bit of input in there. It was really good. I'll have to go back and read that more thoroughly. Yeah. Yeah, those kids, I mean, it's a lot of these kids are born into it. They're bred into it, which is even more scary and bizarre. I mean, can you imagine being born into something like this? I did see a lady on a YouTube video who came out and was talking about Belgium, and she was a sex slave from the age of like 12. She had already been raped like 2,000 times or something. And I was like, wow. I mean, and then it's hard to tell, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not, I mean, there's a lot of very well produced YouTube channels that sometimes I wonder if they're real or not, They come out of nowhere, they gain very, very quick attention and subscribers. And then you just ask yourself, like, man, is this even real? Like, I've been on YouTube since 2012. You guys see my channel. I don't really have anything way out of the ordinary. A lot of very profound information. Yeah, it doesn't resonate with everyone, but the people that get it, and they love coming to this channel, which is like all of you guys in here, right? But as you guys know, I have some friends with lots and lots and lots of subscribers. Dabu, scariest movie ever. These guys give me shout outs like regularly. These guys have 300,000 subscribers. Then you wonder, you look at my channel and you go, why does Casey only have 40,000 subscribers? Like, how is that even possible? Right? I mean, it would be different if I was some annoying, weird guy or whatever. But I do have to say I have good friends on YouTube. But it definitely, something's going on. There's no way I'd only have 40,000 subscribers with the friends that I have who share a lot of my videos and have me on their shows regularly. It should be more up around 100, 150,000, right? But it is what it is. It's censorship, which is why I started my own website that's doing really well right now. And I appreciate all you guys that come over there. It's awesome. Enterthestars.com. Pretty much all of you have been to the website probably, I think. And I just encourage you guys to check it every day. Pop on there. There's a chat, really cool chat. Tinfoil Productions we're just talking about that right now, about the chat. He's got in there. It shows the globe underneath the chat, so you can actually connect with people around the world. You can see who's on the site at that very moment. Give shout outs, have discussions, ask questions from people in different countries that you never got to ask before. That's pretty cool. So that's why I put it on there. We need to do a better job of connecting you guys with each other, right? We got to stick together. So finally got the website running smoothly. I feel good posting stories there. I get to, actually write a story and attach a video so I can provide a lot more detail. Sometimes in my videos, I just get going and I don't really get down into detail. Some of my videos are a little rushed, can go over your head if you're not close to that pause button, right? And with the type of world we live in now, I've realized I really have to slow down. I really have to explain things. And even if I've already explained something like 50 times before, I've got to explain it again because I can't assume that you guys are going to have the foundation necessary to pick up what I'm putting down. And so the website helps me because I can actually write and fill in the blanks as I'm rewatching my video. And I can go, okay, that wasn't really that clear. So I'm going to write about it underneath the video here because then people can, as they're watching the video, they can come down and read in here and fill in the blanks, so to speak, right? Identify this as Casey about your site once I save my name. And if I close the website again, I can't see the same name unless I restart my PC. Why is that? I don't know. That must be in the chat. I think you can make an account, I think. But if not, I'm still playing with the chat. I actually went in there and fixed it because it was really lame and kind of boring. And I went in there and fixed it and added some features to it. And that's a lot for me because I'm not that tech savvy. But I appreciate you guys coming over there. It's really awesome to see all you guys there. The site's doing like about 2,000 people a day, anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 you come there a day, which is almost as much as of you that watch my videos here on YouTube. And pretty soon, we're just going to be uploading over there. I'm not going to be on YouTube, but I'm still trying to figure out how to notify you guys automatically when I post. I got about 1,000 you on my mailing list over there. But WordPress is really weird about sending out emails. It doesn't do an efficient job of it at all. So I got to send my emails out through another server called MailChimp, which is pretty cool, but it's not automatic. So, it's a work in progress, you guys. We're gonna make it happen. It's getting better and better and better. And To Be Free still doesn't get my emails. Send me an email at enter the 5t4rz.com or at yahoo.com. And I'll add you manually. Please put in there, just say, hey, please add me manually to the mail list because I get a lot of emails. I don't want to miss that. And I can add you manually to the mail list. So that's awesome. Another trick we found was Blogger. Stars at blogspot.com. 5T4Z. And basically over there, every video that I like here on YouTube automatically posts on Blogger. So it's sad to say this, but even though you're subscribed to this channel through YouTube, they don't send you a notification for all my live shows or videos that I post. Isn't that sad that you have to do a workaround? So when I like a video on YouTube, it automatically posts to Blogger. So I like all my own videos, and I like a lot of my friends' videos or videos that I like. So if you go to Blogger, you'll get all those notifications if you follow me on Blogger. So that's cool. It does a more effective job of notifying you of my new videos than YouTube does. And that's pretty sad. But that's what's going on. So back in the chat. John's in Tennessee. Wants to talk you want to talk on chat, it's fine on Casey's channel. And me too, Casey. Cool. Yeah, I mean, some of you guys might be shocked. Some of you might live really close to each other, and get to reach out and connect with each other. Let's see here. Looking in the chat. Yeah, I've tried everything, you guys. I've tried different platforms. I tried Zeekly. I tried Daily Motion. Tried Vimeo. I almost felt like all of those sites were simply put here to distract us. I'm being honest. I tried every one of those sites. Here's the problem. Google controls everything. Google didn't buy Vimeo. Google didn't buy Dailymotion. Google did not buy Vimeo or Seekly. Why? Because they don't care about them. Who did they buy? They bought YouTube. That is the show in town. Everything else is distraction. Okay. So what its purpose does that serve? Well, get other people investing their time and efforts into trying to go on other platforms. And guess what? They're not focusing on this platform, which is going to get the most viewership. You'll notice when you go on those other platforms, there's almost no trolls. Okay. There's a reason for that because they don't care. There's a reason why there's a lot of trolls on YouTube because this is where they focus their attention and energies because they have to give the appearance that they're being fair. They have to give the appearance that they're not playing favorites, right? And the way they do that is they kind of leave you alone, but then they send armies of trolls at you who thumbs down all your videos and all that stuff. So I stopped putting my energy into a lot of those other sites. I hardly ever post on Vimeo or Dailymotion anymore. I did a mass migration of a lot of my videos to Dailymotion. I think I have like hundreds of videos over there, and like they almost never get seen. Like it's almost like they censored those videos out, and like none of them hardly ever get seen. No one follows you over there. That's just been my personal experience. And probably some, I don't really hear a lot of chatter about those other platforms either from other big channels. People just have pretty much given up on that, realizing that it was kind of like, a distraction is what it was. A lot of us spend a lot of time. I know Dabu spent a lot of time uploading to Zeekly and talking about it in Daily Motion. And if anyone could get it done, it'd be a guy like Dabu with 250,000, 500,000 subscribers between his 3 channels. And if he can't make it happen, then it just ain't gonna happen. So where are we at? We just gotta stick with YouTube until we get our own sites. And I can tell you that having our own sites, it's awesome. It's a lot of work. You have to have an advocate. You have to have somebody that knows how to work on these websites because they're very complicated. There's a lot of things you can do wrong. It's not just like you hit a button and voila, you have a website that's up and running. It took a lot of work. I've been working on mine for about a year now to get it to where it's at. There's no subscription on my website. It's going to be free. It'll always be free. You're not going to see any donate buttons or Patreon accounts. And that's probably a relief for you guys because I know you guys get beat up all the time for that stuff. And I'm not saying all channels that do that are bad. I'm just saying, look, when you come on YouTube, my viewpoint is that the bigger sites already make enough money on monetizing their channel. Okay. They don't really need donations and stuff unless they're doing something specific. Like I know Dabu does travel and he's on location. That costs money. I understand that. But these other channels that just like, hey, every video donate to my Patreon account, it's like, come on. But in turn, the way my website's funded is through you disabling your ad blocker and visiting the different ads on the site. That's how it pays for it. Keeps the site up. Now, if I were to ever type that out anywhere, write it down, or I could probably get in trouble because you're really not supposed to do that. It's called, what do they call it? Encouraging clicking or whatever. But you know what? There's so much dishonesty in this world. We get screwed. I mean, like literally, you guys, we get screwed. I get screwed on this channel all the time, unmonetizing my videos just because of a title. So I'm sick of it. The rich stay rich because they know all the loopholes, right? And so, I don't feel bad about giving you guys little ways to help this channel. Okay. They can go shove it as far as I'm concerned. So that's where we're at with that, you guys. So appreciate you guys coming out. Click around the site, check it out, and have fun. Chat, get in the chat, and get to know each other. That's cool too. People around the world stick together. That's what this is all about. Okay, I'm back in the chat. Let's see what's going on, you guys. Let's see here. 2017 is going to be a big year. Yeah. So 2016 was weird because If you take the number 216, the factors of that are 6 times 6 times 6. So that's like 666. Obama's last year. A lot of you thought he was the Antichrist. I never really bought completely into that. I mean, I knew the dude was evil. There was way too much stuff that we found on him in 2016. I mean, you guys saw this channel was going off on Obama. I mean, like, we found so much stuff. And I stopped short of calling him the Antichrist because a lot of stuff has to happen before this world ends, okay? A lot of biblical prophecy has not taken place yet. And I feel like America is just still too comfortable. I mean, even though, they're forcing Obamacare on us and all this crazy stuff, Obama's not liked well enough to be the Antichrist. Okay. He's just not. I know the liberals love him, but he's not liked. He's supposed to be liked by the whole world. I don't think Trump's the Antichrist either. He's not well liked either. He's still a divider. See, they send these dividing people out to us first, these divisive world leaders. And then they're going to come in with this Antichrist figure who's going to combine, unite everybody. And this is all biblical. And that's what's going to be the deception, because they're going to look at people like us that call it out for what it is. And they're going to say, why you're the only one that's not on board with this. Everyone else is united. You're creating division. That's what they're going to say about us, right? People that see it for what it is. So I don't think Trump's the Antichrist either. Pretty sure Obama's not. And now we wait, 2017, year 5777 in the Hebrew calendar. That's interesting. 5777. Sevens is a huge number. And triple sevens is even bigger. Shadow says, I think Satan is the Antichrist. Yeah. He's just going to bust out. He's just going to show up on the scene, right? And it's going to be like him. Hey, you never know. Jubilee year, says September Windsong. This is a Jubilee year. They have cams on his coffin. Google Prince William wounded Prince Antichrist, says Sabine. We will not see the Antichrist. Hope my family gets saved next year, says John Rambo. Yeah, I came up in a religious background my whole life, Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventist, and being saved is a walk. It's one thing to believe in the Lord, which of course is the prerequisite. But a lot of people that believe in the Lord don't walk the walk. A lot of them are worse than people that don't believe in Christ. When you're saved, you have to live it. And none of us are perfect, of course, but it's a demeanor. It's being Christ-like, God will help you through all of your hard times. He will work with you, but only if you want to work with him. I feel like a lot of people use being saved as a crutch. They say, well, I'm saved. And then they continue on with their dysfunction in their life. Nothing ever changes. I had a friend one time who was always talking about getting other people saved and worried if his dad was going to be saved and, before he died. But I watched this guy gamble. I watched him, do all kinds of dysfunctional things, addictions and all these other things. And I'm not saying this to bash the guy, but it's when you get saved, there's supposed to be a change in your life, all that's supposed to fall away. Your priorities are set. We're supposed to follow after. And then see, this is what gives Christians a bad name, because Christians walk around saying, well, what are you doing? Are you saved? And are you this? And then you look in their skeletons in their closet, and they got all this skeletons in their closet. And then the outside looks in, they go, well, they're no different than we are, right? Okay. Cannot serve two masters. Okay. If there's anything in your life that you feel like you need, that's a master. If there's anything in your life that you have to have, that becomes your master. You're serving different gods. Okay. Because why? Because the enemy is going to use whatever it is you think you need to control you. And that's just the bottom line, you guys. That's real talk. A lot of people don't want to come to terms with that. They don't want to admit that. I served two masters for many years, 3 and 4 masters, alcohol, women. And it got to the point where those things ruled my life, caused me to do horrible things. And one day I had to come to terms with that. I'm not serving my God. I got other things in front of that. I got other things in the way. And God lets you get away with it for a while, but you really never get away with it. Okay. Really never do. And so, once you come to terms with that, you have to figure it out. Okay. So that's that. So, yeah, everyone should believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I've tried on my channel to show you guys the anatomy of our bodies and how it fits the Christ story, and how Christ, his map of his life is mapped out in our anatomy, and try to do a very thorough job of showing you guys that. But there's still going to be naysayers. There's still going to be other people that want to worship other gods, who lead them down other paths of self-righteousness, of practices that are detrimental to your life path. Okay. When I think about Christ, I feel like you can't go wrong following his example. Do what he does. Can't go wrong. I want to be like Christ, not like Mike, right? So why doesn't God heal amputees? It's a good question. Jesus copied Horace, which he didn't, because Horace copied Jesus. How do I know this? Because the enemy knew the plan of salvation from the Garden of Eden. I'll say that again. The enemy knew the plan of salvation since the Garden of Eden. And however many millennia ago that was, long before Horus was ever anywhere. How do I know this? Because God said to Cain, he said to Adam and Eve, I will put enmity between your seed and his seed. You will bruise him in the heel, and I will bruise you in the head. In other words, God was laying out the plan of enmity throughout all time between the seed of the serpent and the pure bloodline of Christ. Laid it out right there in the Garden of Eden. He sure did. And guess what? The enemy knew at that point. Why? Because he was Cain's father. Cain went off, built the first city ever in the Bible, long before Horus was ever mentioned in the ancient Egyptian texts. So it went down. And at that point, Satan knew the plan of salvation. What else do we know? We also know in the Bible that the prophecies of Christ go all the way back to the book of Genesis. I'll say that again, too, for the guy in the chat who thinks Jesus wasn't real. Yeah, I just told you that Egypt was plagiarizing Christianity, because the prophecies of Christ go back long before Egypt ever existed. I'll tell you the first time in the Bible that Egypt was mentioned. It was when the 8 got off of the ark. Mizraim. That is the first time in the Bible that Egypt is mentioned. Egypt means Mizraim, if you go look at the translation. Nowhere else in the Bible before that is Egypt mentioned, which means that Egypt didn't exist till after the flood. So we have after the flood, and then we have all these Christ prophecies going back all the way to the book of Genesis, all the way back before Abraham, before Isaac, before all that. We have the enmity mentioned in the Bible just during the garden, the battle to ensue, and that proves that the enemy knew the plan of Christ and copied it. It came up with SUN versus SON, came up with Horus, came up with a plagiarism of the Most High, and that's the truth. And so, tell me where I'm wrong about biblical history, Mr. Jesus copied Horus. In fact, if you're a real person, I'll give you a link and you can come in and we can have a debate live tonight if you want to do that. You willing to come in? Let's see. Well, you guys keep me posted if he wants to pop in the chat. Pop into the show, have a live debate, because I would love to do that with you. Okay, let's get on to other stuff. So, what else do we have? I want to come in. Casey says Nash. Cool. Open this up. Let's do that. Because I'm pretty much done talking. I like to hear you guys talk. Got my dogs over here. Trolley. All right, Jesus copied Horse. Come on in, man. Let's have a talk. There's the hangout link. Let's put it in there again. Casey, do you think Holy Spirit she check out God Rules channel? Oh, okay. Yes, Christianity predates Egyptian civilization by thousands of years. And as I said, the book of Job is actually the oldest book of the Bible, the oldest written book. And that came out long before Egypt was ever established. And as I said, the prophecies of Christ began long before that. Who do we have here tonight? We have Life of Jesus copied. All right, so let's get this started. Who wants to go first?
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah.
I think that these guys are a little bit delusional on the whole story, and they don't have all their facts straight, because Jesus definitely was first.
Oh, he predated Egypt by thousands of years. I mean, I can pull up all the prophecies of Christ going back to the book of Genesis. And Job even prophesies Christ, and that book is way older than even the book of Genesis in terms of when it was written down, even though they were covering different biblical points in history. Let's look up the book of Job here. But I see our friend in the Hangout if he wants to start talking. And see,
Yeah, I just personally joined because I've never actually joined your chat before and wanted to join in and see whatever.
oh yeah, welcome, my friend. I've seen you commenting. You're kind of new to the channel, so I appreciate you coming out. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. And I don't actually mean offense to anything that I do comment. I just think realistically on some of these things, like the whole Pizzagate thing. It's hard when we're the ones being deceived and we're digging for information that's out there, And when you think about it, not a lot of people actually really care, which is the sad part of reality. But I do love all the work you do, brother.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and I understand about Pizzagate. Look, I get it. I mean, when you're dealing with these topics, I mean, I remember how divisive the Hampstead sex abuse case was that happened in the UK in Christchurch. And we had these kids on film for 3 hours describing all kinds of bizarre sexual behavior, things that would never come out of an 8-year-old's mouth. I mean, an 8-year-old wouldn't even have the knowledge to know about any of these very descriptive sexual acts with different sexual devices. And these things aren't in a child's brain. Okay, they don't have the time. They haven't lived long enough in their life. And even with that video evidence, people were calling it a psyop. I couldn't believe it. No one stuck up for these kids. So I get it. Here we have circumstantial evidence. We have nothing solid, but we have a lot of innuendo. We have a lot of stuff that could be construed as at least needing an investigation. And it divided a lot of us. We have a lot of
Hello?
A lot of stuff that could be construed as at least needing an. Oh yeah, go ahead and mute your watch page wherever you're watching this on the YouTube.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, right, you need to learn a little bit of history, my friend.
All right, let's hear it.
Hello?
Hello. I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay, first of all, right, you need to learn a little bit of history, my friend.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Your chat in the background there, we can hear it echoing.
Yeah, we're getting an echo. So you guys got to go into the frame here. Like, look on my screen here. See this right here where my cursor is? You got to mute that where you're watching the YouTube channel, and then we should be good. It won't echo. All right, go ahead. You guys go into the frame here. Like, look on my screen here. See this right here where you got to mute that. Otherwise, you're going to hear me. And then we should be good. It won't echo. All right, go ahead. Otherwise, you're going to hear me. All right. And what we can do too is mute whoever's echoing. That's what we can do. So someone says I need to learn a little bit of history. So let's hear it.
Well, you don't know anything other than biblical theology.
Okay, explain it to us.
Well, no, you're the one coming with the burden of proof. I'd like you to describe to me why the Christ of the Bible is real and the 4,200 religions, 320 million gods, that some of them predate and now exist, that have existed throughout human history, are wrong and are fake. But this first century Jew from the Middle East, of which you're not even from, you're not a Jew. You are from America. You should be believing in Thor or Odin, a European god, if you want to have that way. You are not a first century Jew from Palestine.
Jesus didn't come just to save the Jews. He came to save the Jews and the Gentiles.
He came to save the chosen. They are the chosen people. That is a fact.
That's not a fact.
Okay, why don't you believe in Mithra? Why don't you know about the Epic of Gilgamesh and the ancient Sumer cultures? Why don't you know about ancient Egypt? Things which predate Christianity by thousands of years. Why don't you understand about Hinduism and the ancient Hindu gods? Why are you ignorant and plainly ignorant in regards to these historical facts and historical realities? Why are you so indoctrinated with the Christ of Israel, of the Middle East? You don't know about the Library of Alexandria. You don't know about Constantine. You don't know about the Roman gods, the Greek gods, the pantheon. You don't understand about the Serapis and the burning of the library at Alexandria. You are blatantly ignorant, and I would urge you to read Richard Carrier.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. I appreciate your input.
What is it?
Whoa, what happened? Are you done? Hey guys, we're getting an echo, so you gotta mute this watch page. What Okay.
Cry out loud.
Yeah, that's you.
Really, it's so ignorant, man.
Hey, I'm listening. I'm giving you the
No, you're coming at everybody, right, with this. I don't hate Christianity. I don't hate Christians. I don't hate any of the monotheistic Abrahamic religions, so that would include Judaism and Islam. I don't hate any of them, but you need to realize that there have been plenty of other devout people that believe in many other gods. And for you to not, but for instance, you are an atheist in regards to Mithra. Why don't you believe in Mithra? Why don't you believe in any of the Hindu religions or the Buddhists? Or why don't you believe in the Baha'i faith? There are something like, I can't remember now, I think there's like 30,000 Christian denominations that claim that their truth is the one true way and all these different things. But all of a sudden, this, and I know you can cite biblical scripture which would explain things away, but so can they, and so will they. So there's no such thing as I am the way, the truth, and life, all these different things that he came out with. It's a good book. And I will admit to you that the Old Testament and the New Testament, and you said that Christians, you believe in the New Testament. Ask me something. What do you want to ask me?
Well, let's start with what we agree on. And what we agree on is that religion is bad.
Yeah, I agree. Religion's bad. Yeah, and
Okay.
and I've no proof, right, that a God doesn't exist. But the burden of proof is on you to provide it, because you're claiming that one does exist, but you're not bringing any evidence.
Let's also agree that religion divides people.
Religion, yes. No, not only religion, but yes, religion does divide people. But so does sectarianism, so does racism, so does land disputes, so does money, so do lots of things.
Right. So see, we agree on a little bit more than we originally thought. The reason why religion divides people and all these denominations. I'm sorry?
Let me just calm down for a minute, or I'm just going to fill up my bottle of water. I'll be back 1 second.
Okay. Hey, it's all right. There's a lot of emotion surrounding this, and I'm actually glad you came on because we can talk about this, right? And this is what I spend a lot of my time doing on my channel, is looking at who created us and how we were created.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and it's interesting.
Okay.
But I don't believe there is anything.
Okay. So here's what's going on. Religion was created so that it could be fractioned into different denominations, which would then divide brother against brother, sister against sister through these denominations. And I've seen it firsthand. I was Jehovah's Witness, then I was a Seventh-day Adventist, and all I saw was pastors and denominations trying to get as many people to come to their religion because why? Because they tweaked their religion just a little bit. So these people were vegetarians. These people didn't believe God's name was this and that. So what does that do? It divides everybody, right? Okay. Now, there's a mechanism for how that happened. The enemy created these denominations to confuse and confound us so that we could never come together and understand the truth. Now, I think probably the most damning evidence that I've found to make the point that you're thinking about and you're pondering is the fact that we were created by something. If we can agree on that, we can look back into the Bible, which is an ancient document, and we can begin to overlay the anatomy of our own physical bodies to the stories of the Bible that no physician, no doctor, no scientist knew at that time. And I'm talking very specific physiology. I'm talking about the crucifixion of Christ when he was between two thieves and he was crucified in a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skulls. And there was a cross, which is the crossing of the optic nerves of your eye. And at the
come on, man, that's esoteric, and that's a little bit far.
It's not esoteric. If you let me finish, I did let you talk for a while.
Yeah, okay, go on, go ahead.
Okay, so the two thieves are the eyes of good and evil in one eye, because Christ says, if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. And so he went to turn to one thief on the cross, and he says, you will be with me in paradise. Why? Because he believed in the center, the pineal position, which is proven to be our spiritual antenna to God. That's what your pineal gland is. Okay. It is your spiritual antenna. And even esoterics, and even, most people will agree that that is the case. That is your God, whatever you call it, gland.
Here as well. I do see the personal testimony between you differently compared to what others have as well. Because I didn't come into knowing the anatomy of the body. I came into Christ by actually being stripped of everything of this world. So everyone has their own personal testimony, which is harder to explain to those who have not had their testimony yet.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Can you hear me?
Everyone has their own personal testimony, which is harder to explain to those who have not had their testimony yet.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So your evidence for Jesus being the correct God and the only God is what?
Well, that's just one piece of it. That's the piece that we can look at our anatomy. We can look at the two eyes.
Okay, can I just interject because I did that. I'm sorry I cut through, but yes, I've just given you your piece, and I've got a little bit to say now myself. Will recollect it vividly, but we are comprised of 5 known elements. So there's oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, and a few other things. Now they're all found naturally in the known universe, in the cosmos. And we are effectively stardust, and we're regurgitated into it. Now you can cite and you can claim that there is biblical evidence of all of that, coming back to the Big Bang and the creation of everything and this, that, and the rest of it. But there are thousands of religions, of cultures, of belief systems that have come up with life narratives and the creation mythology.
But
okay?
none. I agree with you.
But none of them what? None of them what?
I agree with you, but none of them described the crossing optic nerves before any scientist knew that your optic nerves crossed them.
Neither does the Bible, my friend.
Huh?
Neither does the Bible, my friend.
The Bible does. That's what I'm just telling you.
You're reading into what you want to.
No, because the crossing is called the optic chiasm, okay, which is just like the chiastic literary format, which is described in.
Okay, but do you know that there are plenty of Muslims that do the same thing, that in regards to science and how they cite that scientifically the universe and the creation of the universe is mentioned in Islam, and how Islam is more scientific than the Bible in terms of how it describes things. Both of these religions, Christianity and Islam, as you know, are offshoots of the main religion, which was Judaism, which Jesus was a first century Jew preaching Judaism to other Jews. Let's get it into context. That is what he was, and that is who he was. And he never ever spoke to any Gentile people. He never went out and evangelized like Paul did. It was none of that was ever done. But we're going back into stuff that's irrelevant.
Well, let me correct you. He did. The woman at the well was a Gentile. There were many Gentiles that he came in contact with.
He never went out and did it. He never went out of the Middle East and out of the area of Judea of that time and did it. Only Paul did, and a few others. Obviously, there are others that did the same thing, but that was 70, 80 years after the death, which was the first accounts of him historically. And then you had Josephus and all the other people, but many of them have been proven as frauds and everything else. So there is no real hard cast iron evidence that he even existed, my friend. And I know it's hard to maybe. Well,
I don't agree with that. I mean, our whole calendar system is based off of Christ.
But that's because it's cultural. That's because our culture wants it to. That's because of the Roman influence and Constantine being taken over, turning over to Christ. And incidentally, Rome was falling at about that time, and it was a hard-felt period and everything else. But it could have been Serapis. It could have been any of the gods, and hundreds of Roman.
So the Council of Nicaea and the canonization of the Bible, like, why would they do all that? Why are they covering
control?
Okay, so what would be the mechanism of control? I mean, what is bad about being Christ-like, being humble and meek and kind and
okay, so why did why I've heard Christ was without sin, but I don't understand why. There's a few things. I mean, maybe you can help me on this. By the way, there's no. I've got no animosity or animus towards anybody that wants to do good. Okay, that's the first thing I want to say. And if there are Christians out there that are doing good, fine. But there are plenty of atheists that do the same thing. So the next thing is, or just agnostic. But why does Jesus put the madness into the swine and send them off the cliff? Is that not into innocent? I mean, I'm not some sort of freedom-loving, animal rights hippie, but that doesn't seem like it was a fair deal for those pigs.
It was symbolic because the pigs were unclean, and the demons actually asked to be cast into the pigs. And I believe that had significance, historical significance about his return, because they asked, "Are you going to destroy us before the?"
They weren't his pigs. They weren't his pigs.
And I believe that had significance. What do you mean?
They weren't his swine. So first of all, he was effectively killing someone else's livestock. That's a criminal offence. Then he was sending madness into them and sending them off of a cliff. So whether you want to, okay, now a pig is quite an intelligent animal, and again, I want to emphasise that I'm not some, I eat meat and everything else, but I still exercise compassion to all sentient beings when possible. And I know that Christians have this ethos of we've got dominion over the earth, so we can do whatever we want. But basically, if you I'm almost a pantheist in a sense. I believe in nature and the power of it. And again, to quote Socrates, someone's just put Socrates up there. I know that I know nothing. Whereas people that are espousing, coming at you with a biblical story, are essentially telling you that they know something. They know something about this world that I don't. And I don't believe you. I don't believe that there's something that you know that I don't, because I know that I know nothing. So how can you know and I don't?
You know because you know.
Well, that's not good enough, my friend.
Well, it's hard to explain unless you experience it. It comes through humility and meekness, and it fills you. And that's what I'm trying to use.
Look, I mean, the reason I don't want to carry the conversation on is not because I want to believe about Christianity, and is that they try and evangelize people and try to make them believe what they want to. And I mean, personally, for me, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but when you start trying to preach it to other people, I have a problem with that, because I believe that you should let people find their own way in life. And we're all going to die. There's no evidence for a resurrection. There's no evidence for life after death. There's no evidence for life before death. There's no evidence for anything. And without evidence, I find it difficult to believe in anything. So, and that's not because I don't live a sinful nature. Well, a lot of Christians do anyway, and most do. So it's hypocritical in a sense. But as I said, I have my methods of thinking. I was brought up a secular humanist, and I believe in I mean, America is a secular country, and so is the United Kingdom. Although America says, all gods, all nation, one nation under God, and everything like that, and England was built on Judeo-Christian values. But I do not believe that religion is a force for good in the world, or that belief in God is a forget religion. I don't believe belief in God is a cause for good in the world.
All right. Well,
hey man,
you're entitled to believe that.
Hey, listen, man, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. And all I would say is, do the best you can to other people. Respect people that aren't religious. Respect people that are and of different faiths. And just go into the world and do the best you can. But as I said, try not to. Not so that you have tried with me, but with anybody. I know your God calls on you to evangelize people, but I would implore you not to, because there are people that it isn't good for.
And I appreciate you coming on the show, man. And look,
thanks, man. Have a nice day, dude.
All right, you too. All right. Who else do we have in here tonight?
really appreciate him saying what he feels, and it's nice to understand that he's not too far off with that, because tonight I was actually sitting at the dinner table with my family, and I had a whole speech written out that I wanted to talk to everybody about, but as I seen how of the world these people are and how they're all staring at the screen, at the TV, and I was the only one there sitting wanting to have a conversation, that I realized that by me trying to state something is really only going to destroy the happiness that they have within their heart. And there is a scripture in the Bible that goes to that, about letting people do what they want to do until, you know, he will call on those chosen. And I highly feel that we each need our own testimony of that in order to understand. And it's kind of frustrating. It gets frustrating when we're just trying to plant a seed of good, but the people themselves have to come opening the door and letting Christ in order to understand the types of benefits that it can actually bring out in their life.
Yeah, what I've experienced over the past 5 years, I could never explain to the gentleman that came onto the show, because it's the feeling. There's a lot of evidence as well, but what will happen is then they will post evidence that they have countering this. And the fact of the matter is none of us were there when these books were written. We have
It's the stuff that we search for, right? If you're trying to disprove God, God will let you disprove him.
Exactly. That's exactly it. They can say that the Epic of Gilgamesh was written long before the Bible. They can say pretty much whatever they want because no one was around. No one knows how old these documents are. I know on this journey on this channel, we've proven it beyond the shadow of a doubt through simply the physiology. And no other gods, no Buddha, none of these other gods have this story that describes the inner anatomy, which no one knew 3,000, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, when some of these books were written. Nobody knew it. So that right there proves, and I've heard some people say that, oh, the Egyptians knew about the pineal. Yeah, they did know about the pineal. They knew basic inner anatomy, but they didn't know specific inner anatomy and how the eye worked, how the optic nerves cross. To them, it was just they saw the center of the brain, which they actually outline in pretty high detail. But other than that, you know, the mechanisms of the eye, all of the things that we've talked about and compared to the story of Christ. But the guy that came on the show, he believes that that's esoteric, and we're trying to apply meanings and comparisons to things that don't exist. And so there we come back down to it. Either you believe it and you see it, or you don't. And that's why I try to be so specific on my channel when I'm overlaying these Bible stories to the human body. When I talk about Jesus' first miracle was that he was in a temple at 12 years old, and he was fascinating the doctors. There were doctors in this temple. Now, what could he have possibly been talking about to doctors in a temple that would have fascinated them? Is because he knew physiology. He knew the human body. But I mean, a show like this, like pulling out all the big guns and going to high detail, trying to prove ancient history of the Bible versus ancient Egypt. First of all, when you're talking to someone who doesn't come from a biblical background, they're not going to, first of all, they're not going to believe the Bible. Second of all, they don't really know the Bible. See, I grew up at least having a knowledge of the Bible, so I know for a fact that there's ancient prophecy of Christ going all the way back to the book of Genesis. It just is.
99% of the Bible is actually prophecy that's been come forth. You know, like we don't have too much prophecy in our book that's fake.
Yeah, and that's just the fact. I mean, I could do a Google search right now on prophecies of Christ in the Bible. There's like 1,000 of them. There's like 1,000 prophecies pointing forward to Christ long before he was born.
But also came to fruition as well.
Yeah, and I hope people don't think that I'm trying to, you know, not. I gave the guy the opportunity that he needed to speak. He was a little worked up in the beginning, but he ended up being polite toward the end. So we were actually able to have a dialogue, which I feel is really important, because what the tendency of a lot of Christians to do is to attack this guy and demonize him and call him the devil. And look, there's a lot of people that believe like this guy. Okay.
And actually within our own hearts, try to pray for that soul that's inside of that flesh.
Right. Exactly. And it's so hard to let go. It's so hard to have faith in something that you can't see. I mean, it's a real challenge. I spent a majority of the first part of my life uh, having a form of belief in God, but not a real belief in it until I started seeing miracles happen in my life. When I picked up my cross and just gave my whole life to Him. And you can't explain that feeling to people. The only people that seem to be able to relate to it are other Christians. But to try to tell an atheist that you feel, that you were filled by the Holy Spirit, or that every day you get an inspiration from God in the morning and when you wake up, they're just not going to believe you. They're just going to think you're lying, or they're going to think that it's all in your head. And so the only way is you know them by their fruit. And that's the only way you're going to be able to tell the sheep from the goats. The people with the Christ-like demeanor in mind. Are we defensive? Are we angry? Are we upset? Or are we slow to anger? Do we have fruitages of the Spirit? It's the only way you can really tell the difference between believers and non-believers, because non-believers tend to operate through the beast mode, which is like desperation, quick to anger, quick to defense, attacking. That's the beast mode. That's our carnal nature. Whereas people of Christ have their eyes fixed on heaven and they think in terms of the spiritual. And so they're a lot more mellow and things like that, or at least true Christians. I'll admit there is religious misinformation out there that has basically encoded people with basically beast-like nature. I mean, saying that they are about Christ, but acting nothing like he acted, self-centered, all of these things. I'm looking at the age of the Bible. So let's see, what do we have here? Back in the chat. I'm glad you guys got to show up for this. Awesome. See your feedback in the chat here. Let's see here. Reading in the chat here. Yeah, we were talking about Pizzagate earlier. So here's a little bit on the dating of the Bible. And I liked what you said earlier that, if we want to not believe in God, He'll allow us to do that. Okay. He will allow that to happen. The enemy has done an effective job at basically counterfeiting the story of Christ. I mean, that is clear. But for people that don't believe in Christ, they have something they can believe in. They can say, oh, that's just the story of Horus, which is what the gentleman that was on the show said, earlier. So, let's take a look at this here. Now, it is true that much of the Bible was written later in history, 8th century, 7th century, 6th century. But some of the books of the Bible were written long before that. This is Job, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. All these books contain stories of the prophecy of Christ. Okay. I know for a fact the book of Job does. Could have been written in the 4th or 5th centuries, but seem to reflect the contact with Greek culture. Jonah was 2nd century BCE. (330 to 164 BCE). So this was several years.
This is the one that I was actually going to John 14, verse 17. Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it seeketh him not, neither knoweth him, but ye know him, For he dwelleth with you, and you shall be in him.
That's a very good scripture. That's a very good scripture. Only the people, exactly. Exactly. So again, here are some dates BCE, before Christ's era. A lot of people don't understand too is that when Christ walked the earth, they had the Old Testament. That was their Bible. Okay. So they had a complete Old Testament of the Bible, and Jesus quoted from it often, which means there was a well-established Old Testament Bible written hundreds and maybe even thousands of years before he got it. Okay. And that we haven't even got into the mathematical proofs that the Bible is real as well. I mean, we've covered a lot of that on this channel as well. But that's some of the dating behind the Bible. A lot of people, ancient Egypt goes back several thousand years BC. I understand that. But according to the Old Testament, the Bible history predates even that. But again, unless you're standing there, we've already seen too that they try to use carbon dating to prove that the earth is millions and millions of years old, when in actuality it's not. So there's a lot of deception afoot. So what it's going to come down to is certain people are going to believe and certain people aren't. And what does the Bible say? It says, if they don't believe, simply go on to the next town. I'm not here to convince atheists to believe in Christ. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to save the people who can believe in him, in which he can dwell, and help them to understand. And this isn't about beating people over the head with Christ, okay? And I know that religion has come across that way. Again, that's a tool of the devil. And that's where I agreed with this man who came on. But really what it's about is understanding that a Christ-like life actually frees you. It sets you free. Your misery ends, your misunderstanding ends, you're free from sin. Your life becomes better once you understand and walk with a Christ-like heart. This isn't about making you not have fun in life. I mean, here we are with, this whole show started out with celebrity deaths. These guys died pretty young. And look at their lifestyles. And I'm not placing judgment, but their lifestyle has been on display. I mean, it's no secret. The lifestyle these guys led, okay? It's no secret at all. And we could admire these guys and, as musicians, as artists, as actors. But when it comes down to the end of the day and how you live your life, and people think that, oh, if I'm not hurting someone, then I should be able to do what I want. But in that thinking that you're not hurting people with your actions, you actually are hurting people with your actions. Okay? There's no such thing as I'm just doing what I want and I'm not hurting anybody, because you are hurting somebody. Everybody has a father and a mother. Everybody has children. Everybody has dogs. Everybody has someone that cares about them. And, this world has gotten to the point, I mean, we were talking about Pizzagate earlier, all sorts of perversions. Okay. I mean, if nothing else, Comet Ping Pong Pizza should be cited and arrested for perverted material being exposed to young children. I mean, isn't there some law against that? Against operating a all ages facility where kids are being exposed to this stuff? Kids of all ages, 5, 6, 7 years old, seeing some of these images. And that is what I think this is more about. Whether or not someone believes in God or not, because it's going to come down, we all die, you guys. And when it comes down to it, when you're about to exit this life, I guarantee you that everybody is considering their mortality and where they go from here, regardless of whether or not they believe in God. When that moment comes, everybody considers it. And I believe that's when God reveals himself at those moments, when some people have these near-death experiences. So what do we want to do? Wait till that moment? Or do we want to start to find the answers now? Now, all of you guys know my story, my journey, what I've been through, where I've come from, and my path. And I've talked to thousands of you, and I've heard your stories and your paths. And it's amazing. And when I hear someone who doesn't know God, it actually makes me sad, because life is so much more enriching and so much more special when you know him, when you have faith. I don't get angry at them. I used to. I'm more like sad. Like I feel like they need a hug or something. Or I want to show them God's love somehow, to give them hope. Like I wonder what could have happened to this person that they didn't believe in God. I watched a child, both of my children being born. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. How the human body grows this child inside of it. And then this child comes out that looks just like you. And then it grows and develops and learns and becomes intelligent. I mean, and people can say, oh, well, all of that evolved, you can't even put it in words to try to not to convince someone, because the proof's already there. It's almost like they've got blinders on. They're just not seeing reality for what it is. That something that amazing could not have spontaneously come about. But that's where we're at, you guys. And I guess my prayer tonight is that these people who believe this way are shown something that helps them find God. Because at the end of the day, you guys, it's not our job to get into a debate with an atheist and win an argument. That's just the truth, you guys. God is amazing. So he's going to be the one to reach that person. Our job is to be Christ-like. Our job is to do what he does and love one another, even your enemies. And hopefully through how we treat people and love people, they will come to know Christ. They're never going to come to know Christ by us getting into a debate with someone and trying to battle them point for point and win an argument. Okay. That's really not how it's going to happen. It's going to come through works, right? All right, you guys, let's move on. Do we have anyone still here in the, let's see here. We got, yes.
Yo, what's up?
What's up?
I just wanted to say that you put out really good content.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Awesome. Now I saw you on my website. You were dropping some cool comments over there.
Yeah. And you actually, you fired back saying that the girlfriend Prius or whatever in Blade Runner.
Yes.
Her date was Valentine's Day.
Yes, that was her. They call it inception date.
Yes.
Give everyone a little history. We were talking about the film Blade Runner, which is a sci-fi dystopian. There was a book, Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, and then they did the Blade Runner movie after that. And then there was a real life Blade Runner, the guy who was the amputee, who was an Olympic athlete, and he killed his girlfriend on Valentine's Day. and she was a model, and they called Pris from Blade Runner. She was called a model too, a model of an android, but she was called a model, and she was born on Valentine's Day. Pretty
Just
crazy
really
stuff.
odd coincidences. Like, how does that happen?
Oh yeah,
But there's also in the do you know how like they show like two other cyborgs or whatever, and the other dates. The one day is the Club Pulse shooting, the exact day and the year, and the other has the date of the shooting of Gabby Giffords,
wow.
I believe. Yeah, you can look into it.
And see, here's what I think's happening because people are like, "Well, how does this happen?" It's real, you guys. This doesn't just happen once or twice. This has happened throughout film history. I've cited thousands of situations where this has happened, thousands of instances. And I think that these people in Hollywood are like basically sorcerers, and the writers are writing for the devil, and they basically this stuff like manifests like it's the script, which is like the scripture of the devil is the script, and the set is like the movie set, which is like set. I mean, if we want to get into ancient Egypt, let's talk about set and the lighting. You know, all of this is ancient Egyptology. It's pagan ritual sorcery is what it is. And somehow these writers are channeling the devil's desires to brainwash us. And some of it is mixed with some truth, but it's only to the extent that to deceive us, right? And this is what we do on this channel. We parse through this stuff or read between the lines. And the devil's kind of dumb because he actually gives away part of the truth in trying to lie to us. For instance, his fascination with Jesus. Now, this is something we could have brought up with the guy that came on earlier. All throughout Hollywood, every single movie I see has Jesus in it. It's unbelievable. So where's that coming from? It's a fascination that the enemy has with Jesus. But what he tries to do is he turns it around because he wants to be like the Most High. That's the thing. So he gives himself away, so to speak. It's like the kid that comes home, or you come home from work and you go, "Were you eating cake?" Parent says to the kid, "Were you eating cake?" And the kid goes, "No." And they got frosting all over their fingers. It gives them away, right? Well, that's the devil. Everything he does, he's got the frosting of Christ all over his fingers. So he's actually proving God. Even the demons believe in God, it says in the Bible. They just don't do good, but they know he's real. They know the Son of Man is real. And so that's where that's at. But that's pretty amazing. All right. I saw somebody else in here. Who do we have? We had a young lady.
Here, bro. Much love. I appreciate you, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful evening tonight, bud.
All right, man. Taking off?
Yeah, I got shit to do.
All right, man. All right. Have a good night.
Peace.
Take care. All right. Let's look in the chat here. Somebody else join in. Yeah, we just gotta pray, you guys. Stay the course. Keep the meek heart, your Christ-like nature. Be good, and everyone will know his name when he returns. Everybody, even those who do not want to believe, we got to pray that they find him. Not for our benefit, not because we get points for helping people to know Christ. It's for them. It's because we love people, and we want them to know him. Okay, that's what this is about. All right, what else do we have here? Glad you guys could all show up tonight. Yeah, God is very patient, James. Absolutely. Snowball wants a shout out. Right on. Shout out to Snowball 1138. See Liam X Mail, Robin S. Tracy, Loving USA. Blue Blood Guitar. I mean, are there any points you guys would have brought up in talking to the guy that came in the show earlier that you want to bring up? You can only believe by the Spirit of God on high, whether we are on a deserted island or a crowded elevator. Should all say a prayer for Casey. Appreciate it, you guys. There's Run to Christ, See Mary, Teapot, Paul Olson. Yeah, he died. No one knows what happened. They said natural causes, I guess. No foul play, but he was only 53. I mean, how does that even happen?
And real quick, they also, I believe they whacked Alan Rickman. He was 69. Have you looked into that?
Yes. He was one of the 69 deaths this year, Alan Rickman. Absolutely.
One of many, yeah.
Yeah. Patty Duke, we had David Bowie, we had Tupac's mom, 69. We had a lot of 69 deaths this year in the year of 69. Absolutely. Yeah. So, everyone go tonight, say a prayer for the guy that came on the channel, that God reveals himself to him. Try to take away all anger towards him. I'm not mad at him. I'm actually sad when I hear this because I know how God has affected my life. You know, the Son of Man, and I have salvation, and he's changed my life. He's actually helped change the kind of person that I am. I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else. I'm not better than the guy that came in here. That's the mistake that many Christians make. They come across as I'm better, and I'm going to show you. And as soon as you do that, you lose people, because it's not about that. All of it is about Jesus. And we have to believe that he has the power to change anyone's life, to reveal himself to anyone. It's not through us. It's not anything we're going to do other than being like him. It has to come through him. We have to believe that he has the power. We can't take this on our shoulders to convince all the atheists that Jesus is real. He has to do it. And he will, or he won't. And those people will not know him. But that's not really up to us. All right. What else? Tracy says, God is not unconditional love. Read the Bible. That's false doctrine. Okay. Why don't you pop some verses in there for us and let us know where you're coming from with that. George Michael is 53. Someone asked how old he was. All right. There's a lot of suffering and pain in this world. I know that the atheists that I have talked to, that's one of the rationalizations that there is no God because of the pain and suffering. And my answer to that is yes, we live in a sinful world where there's pain and suffering. That's the curse. But we all have a chance to find the truth and find the way out. Okay, we're under the curse. The devil rules this world. That the Bible says. He's in control of this reality. And it's misery sometimes. Life is misery sometimes for a lot of people. We think we have it bad in the United States. You guys, we don't even know the half of it. There is real suffering in this world. And so we have to always remember that and put things in perspective. We're not some chosen country with God-given freedoms because we're so great. We suck, actually, our country, because we're selfish. We let the rest of the world starve. We sign up to the military to bomb other people in oblivion who don't even know how they're going to eat. Okay? We have to get over that. Okay? We're a very sinful country. And we got to stop thinking we're some chosen, selected people. We have to get off our high horse and understand the reality, okay? That there are a lot of people suffering in this world, much more than we are. Okay? So, what does that mean? It's not to diminish what we are, but it starts today. This is when you get to decide who you're going to be in this world, in this life. You're not going to be able to save the world, but at least you can be a nice person. At least you can have a mind that understands unfairness before we speak about things that aren't true. Before we jump on a side, or before we say, let's bomb all the Muslims, or before we start bagging on immigrants, okay? We got to think about what we're saying before we say things. We got to think about it. Doesn't mean we have to walk around with a guilt trip, but it means that we have to think about it. And see, for me, Christ solves all that, because it's easy to open up a Bible and try to be like him. It's all right there, written down. And I just wish more people could know him. And I just hope I did a good job for God talking to this guy. At least I could show some love and support and let God do the rest. Let God do the rest. And that's what we got to pray for his kingdom to come and his will be done, because that's the Lord's prayer, as on earth as it is in heaven. Because everything else is just words. Actions is what matters. You know, if that gentleman came to my door with no food to eat, no clothes on his back, I would feed him and clothe him. And maybe that would show him who Christ is, when maybe everyone else would not feed him and clothe him and give him a warm place to sleep. And that's what we're charged to do, you guys. That's how we get people to know Christ. All right. I'm getting tired. I'm looking in the chat. I'm really enjoying you guys, but I think I'm going to call it a night pretty soon here. His will be done whether you pray or not. Exactly. His will be done. By praying it, we simply acknowledge that he is our master. But his will be done. All right. Give us today our daily bread. Exactly. Robin works with the homeless. Bless you. That's what it's all about. Any one of us is one paycheck away from being homeless, you guys. 90% of the people on this channel. And you're going to wish that somebody would open their door for you or feed you a hot meal. That's what Jesus is trying to get us to understand. All this money stuff, this race for money, gold, silver, buy gold, buy this, buy that. You guys, it's all a shell game. None of it matters. How much more you have than the person standing next to you. You know what I found in my life? Less is better. The less I have, the better. You know why? Because then I know exactly where I stand in his life. I know that there's nothing tempting me to be unlike Christ. It's easier to have nothing than it is to have everything. Because when you have everything, you want more. When you have everything, you want to protect what you have. But if you have nothing, you just don't care. You just don't care. And then you really know who you are. You see? So, that's where I stand. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it a night. Fading fast. Take care and be safe, you guys.